Hey movers, it's Tracy Steen of Move Daily Fitness. Actually, I felt like Mr. Rogers coming out there. Hello, kids. All right, hey, we're doing a little walk and talk today. So I have asked you to put your questions below in our previous video of things that you wanted answered in terms of fitness, wellness, and nutrition. So I got some great questions. Let's go talk about it and we'll figure this stuff out together. Okay, this question is from Liza and she asks, what do you use to have such flawless skin? Liza, stop. You're gonna be mortified at the answer because I'm mortified by the answer. But okay, let me just on the outset say, I think it's genetics. Thank you for saying that I have nice skin. I actually have received that compliment in my life, and so have my sisters and mother, because again, I think it's genetics. Take a look at this photo. Okay, those are my sisters and my mother. And one of the common things that we have is very thin skin. So very tiny pores, which means you don't get a lot of acne and everything kind of looks smooth. The downside of the thin skin is that wrinkles, right? Like look at this. I haven't had Botox or anything. Look, see, I've got a lot. That's okay. I'm almost 50, so I think it's par for the course. But this is what I do use, okay? It's mandatory. I've done this ever since I was young, is take my makeup off every night. You gotta do that. And I use this magic mitt. This is totally worse for the wear. Like, this has seen better days. I get it. I need a new one. But it's great. I love this magic mitt. No soap is required. It just magically takes your makeup off. Mascara, eyeliner, everything. And then I always go to bed with a fresh face. And then this is what you're gonna be mortified about, is that I use this Vaseline Intensive Care to put on and nourish my skin. That's not the best. And you know what? I'm sure I'll get a lot of shameful notes down below about my use of Vaseline. I actually told my client that the other day, that someone asked this question and she's like, you put Vaseline like petroleum jelly on your face? I'm like, no, it's the cream. So I don't recommend it, but you asked what I did and that's what I do. Okay, another thing that I might do that's actually not bad for my skin, but from Anthropology, I bought this facial spray. Actually, everything that I do, that's anything that's good in fashion, makeup or otherwise, I've learned from my daughter. So she showed me this. See, you just, oh, it's nice. It smells like rose water and herbs and aloe. So that's a nice little skincare product to just set the makeup and make sure that everything stays where it should and it feels nice and smells good. So that's it. Okay, here's the next question. Why do some women tend to hold on to belly weight after having children, and what are some ways to reduce the belly fat in that area? From Liza. All right, well, that's a great question, and if you've ever had a baby, you've probably been concerned about having belly fat around that area. I actually trained a woman who just had a baby, well, 2 years ago, but I trained her all throughout her pregnancy and post delivery as well, up until now. And so I totally get that belly fat can accumulate in that area and that it can be really hard to get rid of. I think it's there for a couple of reasons. A, when you're leading up to delivery, often we're eating more, right? Well, I don't love the adage where I'm eating for two, because why are you doing that? Eat normal, eat healthy. Make sure that you're taking good supplements and making sure that you're getting great nutrition for the baby. But to double up on your eating, well, I think that's what some people do, is that they overindulge. They think, hey, this is my one chance to really go for it and eat whatever I want while I'm pregnant, and then I'll lose it afterwards. Well, as you know, it's really hard to lose it afterwards. Now you're busy, right? You've got greater commitments. If you're going back to work, that weighs on you as well. So there's a lot of reasons why it's hard to lose weight post delivery. But I've also seen that if you are diligent about consistent workouts, okay? So we did a lot of resistance training with her, 2 to 3 days a week resistance training, and then 2 days a week of cardio. So doing HIIT cardio, that high intensity interval training. So once she could get back at it, you know, like that first 6 months to 8 months, everything is still a little bit loose down there. Everything's a bit sore. So you got to kind of ease into training aggressively again. But consistency with your workouts is really key, I think. Number 2, that is key, is also your eating. You've just got to keep things clean. So if you were in the habit of eating junk food and treats and donuts and ice cream, you know, with pickles while you were pregnant, and then you carry that through that's gonna be really difficult to lose. Right, so it's cleaning up your food, it's getting rid of all the refined white rice, white carbs, white flour, white sugar, all of that. Getting rid of that and going back to whole fruits, vegetables, lean cuts of meat, dairy, eggs, that sort of thing. And keeping the diet a little bit cleaner. I mean, we could talk in depth about what diet or eating regime you need to have to lose body fat, but I think a big reason why people hold on to belly fat post-delivery is because maybe they didn't work out leading up to it. So their body's like, I don't know, we're just kind of let loose, let go for 9 months, right? And then also they're not consistent with their post-delivery regime. So exercise and a clean diet. Oh, looks like I'm naked there. There we go. What kind of workout regime and diet approach should an overweight 23-year-old girl with thyroid problems take to lose weight effectively and in a sustainable way? All right, well, my number one thing, if you were my client and you came to me and you were 23 and overweight, I would ask the background. I would ask your story. How did you get like that? Have you been like that your whole life? What has brought you to the place right here and now where you wanted to make a change, make a shift? So something's happened. Something's been a trigger. There's been a moment. Maybe someone said something. Maybe you're just so sick and tired of being 23 and overweight, and all your other friends are out maybe going to the clubs and having a good time and wearing bikinis, and you are not that person. But there's a story to the person that you are. So I would want to know what that story is. Because the reason why you're eating and you're 23 years old and you're severely overweight, there's a reason behind that. So unless you kind of go and dig deep and figure out what the reasons are for overeating, you're never going to fix the problem in the first place. Because as I've said to clients before, I mean, I can give you diets, exercise, a plan for eating healthy, and you may be able to stick with it as long as you have willpower. But the moment that kind of goes out the window, you're going to go back into the same pattern, because what are the reasons why you're overeating? So that would be the thing that I would want you to look at. Figure that out first. Ask yourself, every time you go to binge eat or overeat, maybe it's the patterns of behavior. There's lots of reasons, okay? It's not kind of like a simple answer, that one. It could be that your patterns are really bad. Maybe you don't have set schedule where you get up in the morning, have a healthy breakfast, pack your lunch, come home, have a healthy snack, prep dinner for that night, go to bed, get up, exercise. Maybe that's not your pattern, and maybe that's what you need to work at, is create a good morning ritual, a good routine, a good pattern. But on a deeper level, it could be something like you just, maybe your father said that you were never going to amount to anything, and the only way that you really feel connected and loved is by the comfort of food. And that is often the case. Having been a therapist and seen multiple clients, when I ask them their story, I hear a lot of this resounding, I'm not good enough, I'll never be enough, I don't have what it takes. And so then we bump up against scenarios and circumstances in our life where we experience those beliefs again. They kind of come forefront. And so then oftentimes we just go, well, I don't know, screw it. I'm just going to go to food. Food comforts me. Food feels good. Food tastes good in my mouth. So I like that feeling. And then all of a sudden we get into this bad pattern of behavior where we're overeating and overindulging all the time. And that's where the weight gain starts to happen. Like if we just did it once in a while, maybe you failed your midterm exam and you're like, screw it, I'm just gonna eat this whole chocolate cake. But then that's not your pattern of behavior to do that. Then you might get back on track and be fine. But I think it's really looking deep and figuring out, what the issues are that are driving you towards food. And then it's being consistent with a routine and scheduling in your workouts as well, right? You probably don't even feel like working out at this point. Maybe you feel like you're just heavy and uncomfortable, but I promise you, if you just start a strategic routine of exercising consistently, that's going to help build that self-efficacy. That's the belief that we are capable of achieving something. And the more time you devote to the task, the more you'll believe in yourself. So I'm not even going to give you a specific diet or workout routine, but I'm going to say that you gotta take a deep dive and figure out why you're eating in the first place. And once you've done that, then we'll talk about exactly how to get to where you want to go. Okay, Next question, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting? What are your thoughts on keto? And what do you think of dairy and diet? Okay, I mean, keto, intermittent fasting, those are new buzzwords with diet these days. And I've tried both of them. So do they work in terms of how to lose body fat? Absolutely. I think anything that you can stick with consistency, stick to, is gonna work. So it really doesn't matter, you know, what plan that you pick. If you're consistent, it will work. The question is, will it work for the long term? Can you stay on a eating plan of 70% fat, 20% protein, 10% carbs for the rest of your life? And if you can't switch your eating and stick with it for the long haul, chances are you're going to segue back into the same pattern of eating that you had before. So if you're overweight and you've been eating way too many carbs, and all of a sudden you swing the pendulum the other way and start to eat zero carbs, you'll be able to do that for a short period of time, and you'll be able to lose weight on that. But for how long can you do it? I talked to one of my friends who's a dietitian, and I asked her about the keto diet. And she said the problem is that when people restrict carbs so much and then they add them back into their diet, she goes, like, the body doesn't know what to do with them. And so sometimes we have this swing on one side where we're losing weight, then all of a sudden we add carbs back in, and the body swings the other way because it doesn't know how to metabolize the carbohydrates. It doesn't know how to then transfer carbs for fuel, right? So then you'll get fat storage, and that can be the problem. Both those diets work. Keto works, intermittent fasting works. I just think that, again, making sure that you're understanding the why behind choosing a diet in the first place. Why do you want to change? What are the shifts that you want to make? What are the issues that actually need to be addressed first before you actually say, okay, I'm totally, thoroughly ready to change my body for good, which means changing my lifestyle for good, right? So what are some things that you can implement in a healthy eating plan that you can sustain for the rest of your life forever and ever? Amen. I'm always about that. I don't love restriction in diets because I just feel like if you restrict, then it's going to make you want it more and more. So I don't know if that's the best solution. Now, intermittent fasting, I actually quite enjoy as a plan. So intermittent fasting, if you don't know, I mean, there's lots of ways that you can do it, and I'm not an expert on intermittent fasting by any means. I'll put a link of someone below that you can follow, and he's got great advice on it. Anyway, the plan that I tried was an 8-hour eat window with a 16-hour fasting window. So I get up at 5 a.m. So my first meal would be at 9 a.m. and then I would have my last meal at 5 p.m. So that's the 8 hours that you would eat, and then I'd be fasted for 16. I found it great because, number one, oftentimes our culture, we're never hungry. We're just like constantly eating, right? We're constantly feeding ourselves, and we really don't realize how many hours in a day we're actually eating for. Sometimes you get up at 5, you have coffee, you have a donut, you know, and then you'll have something before you go to bed, a big bowl of cherries at 9 p.m. and all of a sudden you've eaten for 20 hours of the day or 16 hours of the day. So to implement some sort of strategic timing, I think, is a good idea because you don't eat as much. And I think that's the beauty of why intermittent fasting works. Normally when I'd have, you know, a big breakfast, then lunch, and then dinner with my couple snacks. Now, because of the eating period, I'm really hungry in the morning, right? I'm like, kind of can't wait to have my first meal. But I've given myself basically 4 hours where normally I would have fueled it and eaten. Now it's just burning any excess glycogen or carbohydrates that's in my body. And if I don't have a lot of those in there because of a low carb diet, now it's starting to burn fat as fuel. So, and then in my 8 hours, my caloric intake is far less than it would be if I were to eat over a 12-hour period. So I think that's how it's very beneficial, and that's how it works, is that you eat less, you consume less calories, and then if you try to make sure that your macronutrients are on point, so that means you're getting enough protein in your diet so that you can build muscle. And I have a lower carb levels that I follow. So anyway, let me just show you quickly what a typical eating day might look for me, okay? Here, take a look at this. Right, because what I think happens is that your stomach shrinks a bit and you're just not as hungry. And if you're increasing your fat intake, that satiates you as well and makes you feel fuller. Okay, this next question is from Andrea. She says, how do you go about assessing your carb tipping point without throwing yourself into weight gain? All right, Erica. Well, I talk a lot about the carb tipping point, right? So the carb tipping point is the level at which your body now takes any carbohydrates that you are consuming and stores them as fat, okay? So we basically need an appropriate amount for our activity level, for our life, to give us energy, to make us clear-headed, but not so much that it tips the scales over and now gets into fat storage. And I think the best way to check out how that is affected in your own personal body is to track it. Okay, I love using those tools, the FitnessPal, MyFitnessPal, or Lose It. Those are two apps that actually track it very, very well. So if you're logging your food, at the very bottom of the app, at the end of the day, you can see a little pie chart, which will show you your percentage of protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Right? So then you have to kind of be diligent about logging your weight, stepping on a scale regularly, seeing if you're losing weight, gaining weight, maintaining weight, and as you go along, you'll be able to see, okay, I have too many carbs in my diet, I keep gaining weight, that's crazy, because really that's the variable, is the carbohydrates. So if you're losing weight, chances are you're going in the right direction. If you're sustaining, then you're probably bang on with the amount of carbohydrates that your body needs. As a general rule of thumb though, I mean, this is different if you're following a keto or paleo or a primal diet. This will be different, the percentages will be different. Okay, but as a general rule of thumb, so if you're following just a eat clean diet or clean eating diet, your macros will be 40% protein, 30% carbs, and 30% fat for fat loss, okay? And again, this is different for everybody. It depends on your activity levels, what you do for a job. I mean, all of those are variables that I would take into account. Your age, your sex, like all of those things are really important. But again, sort of rule of thumb, for sustaining your weight, you'd want 30% protein, 40% carbs, 30% fat. So you can play around with those numbers to start with. And again, if you're gaining weight, it's too many carbs. If you're losing weight and you have no energy and you're like starving all the time, you probably don't have enough carbs. Okay, Alejandra asks, what was the hardest food item you struggled with letting go of at the beginning of your fitness, and what are some tips for others like myself with that topic? Ooh, hardest food item, hands down, is sugar. Sugar's my boyfriend. And have I gotten rid of it? I don't think I have, actually. I think one of the benefits of, exercising all the time, and I work out 5 to 6 days a week, is that you can, have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. And this is what I follow as a rule. All my meals are healthy. I love the taste of healthy food. I love salads. I love swapping out high carbohydrate foods like white rice and pasta for healthy options like cauliflower rice and zucchini noodles. So I do that all the time. So my main meals are super healthy regularly. So that I can have the treats, so that I can have a handful of chocolate chips if I want, so I can, have a few wine gums or what have you. I mean, I've read so much research on sugar and how it's just so addictive, and it's a hard one to break. That is for darn sure. And I don't know if breaking it completely is for me. I don't think you should totally break something unless it's like something you're addicted to, like alcohol. But you can definitely incorporate swaps, right? So I use, as my sweeteners, I'll use dates, bananas. So I make a ton of baking with those two items, dates, bananas, and then real sugar substitutes like honey or maple syrup, which are still sugar. I get it, they're still sweet, but they're from nature. They're real, right? They're from a tree, they're from a bee, as opposed to made in a factory. So I like that a little bit better. There's an ant on my leg. Okay, sorry. Okay, Kelly asks, as you age, how many cardio workouts should you do over weights? Also, what are your thoughts on fasting? It seems to be the rage, doesn't it? It is the rage right now. First of all, cardio and weights. Well, I work out 5 to 6 days a week, and it depends on what you want your look to be. What do you want to do with your body is really kind of what you got to ask yourself. So if you want to shape your muscles and build more tone, really sculpt what your muscles look like, get some nice popping shoulders, nice defined quads or a big booty, I would do 4 to 5 days a week of resistance training, heavy lifting, really focused, detailed lifting plan. So breaking it down into parts, right, where you may be doing chest and tris, back and bis, booty and shoulders, and then a full leg day. That might be my split that I go with there. And then just do maybe 1 or 2 hikes on the weekend, and that might be my cardio. So that's my building. If I'm trying to really lean down and let everything, all my hard work pop, I might include more HIIT workouts, right? Like we have tons of HIIT workouts on our channel here, so I might, really ramp up the cardio with that. I don't love just traditional cardio, like running down the street or anything like that. I would hike. I would do a HIIT workout where heart rate is just banging, for 45 minutes or whatever, or just do sprints, intervals on a treadmill if I'm inside, if it's winter in a gym or something like that. So again, it depends on what you want your body to look like and the goal that you're going for. If you want to be just totally skinny without sculpted shoulders and arms, then do 5 days of cardio a week. But everyone I talk to basically wants to have that sculpted look, and so I think that focusing more on resistance training, less on cardio, and if you're doing the resistance training like how we do it on the channel, so look what we just did in our last video here. We did arms, but we did active rest, right? So I do a weight circuit and then I keep my heart rate up and burn some body fat while my arms are resting. I love that kind of training. I feel like it's the most bang for your buck and it's the most effective. Okay, Shelly asks, I've noticed my knees hurt after some workouts. Anything I can do to be nicer to my knees? Yeah, that's a common problem. I have had knee issues as well. So one of the things I suggest for clients who have knee issues is very seldom do any single-legged exercises. So, the other day we did some single-leg pistol squats where we were squatting down on one leg, lunges, that's all one leg. Anything where you're bending the knee and putting most of your weight on one side, side lunges, front lunges, I would just stay away from those. All your body weight is on one side then. So you're better off trying to strengthen the knees by doing things like squats, assisted squats, maybe with the resistance ball behind your back against a wall. Of course, there's different exercises that you could do to strengthen the vastus muscles, which are around the knee and just in that area. But I think I would avoid anything that is high impact, like the jumping. If that causes the pain, don't do it. I mean, you can get your heart rate up by doing like battling ropes or punching with weights, like work your upper body. There's lots of ways. Throw a medicine ball against the wall. There's lots of ways to get your heart rate up without pounding your knees into the ground, right? And making them worse. So I would say no lunges and just make sure that you get your heart rate up a different way than pounding. And the second part to her question was, what about ab exercises that do not require me to lift my head? My neck is wrecked and I get tension headaches if I strain my neck. Oh, that's a lot of people too, Shelly. So I would do different work like planks. I mean, planks are fantastic for abs, right? You can keep a nice neutral neck while you're doing a plank position. Other exercises that you could do, I'll just show you a few right here. Here was that last one. What do you think about dairy in diet? That's a hard one. It's hard because have you watched all the documentaries on cows? Like, is it weird that we're drinking milk from a mom cow when the babies should be drinking that? Like, that whole concept kind of just creeps me out. And then I have some Greek yogurt and I'm like, ooh, yum. So it's tricky because I know Greek yogurt's high in protein, cottage cheese is high in protein, and so part of me really likes that because it's an easy snack to have. It's a easy breakfast if I'm not feeling like eggs, right? You can put some low sugar berries on there and some nuts and you've got a great little snack. But the other side of me, the more conscious side, is like, that's really creepy. Why are we drinking milk, right? So I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I have it from time to time, and I think it's a personal decision. But there's lots of people that say that it makes them bloated and gassy and gives them other issues. So I think if it doesn't work well in your system, you totally need to stay away from it. And if you feel strongly about not drinking from cows, then stay away from it as well. I think that's just, you got to make your decision about that. I feel like that with a lot of things. Gosh, everything is changing so rapidly, and there's so, you know, one of the reasons why I haven't landed on really giving clients a specific diet plan is that there's so many different things to choose. There's so many ways to get there. So that's why my primary thought is figure out why and how you got overweight in the first place, and let's work with that. I mean, that as a psychologist, I mean, that I can work with, that I can help you with, because any diet is going to work if you stick with it. So let's figure out why you're overeating, why you're gaining weight, why you're not losing weight, why you're not exercising regularly. Let's talk about all those things, create a plan, create a structure, and now send you on your way. And I feel like if you do that, any diet will work, or any protocol that you use will work. Does that make sense? Well, hey, I think I'm going to sign off for now. This has probably been long enough. Thank you for all your questions. I had a good time reading them, and it's great because these are some of the things that I'm thinking about too, consistently. So the fact that you are as well, I love that we can talk about those things together. Hey, I'd love to hear your comments down below, so make sure that you have any other questions or comments on what I've said today. Make sure that you comment right below. Okay, so I just want to say one more thing before I sign off here, is that coming up in September, I'm going to be hosting a private Facebook group, okay? It's going to be focused on nutrition, wellness, and fitness as well. So it's going to be what you get over here times 10, right? We're going to have special speakers who come in, psychologists who come in, dietitians who come in and share with us their knowledge as we sort of journey through this path of fitness, wellness, and nutrition and try to get to the other side all in one piece. And I'm really excited about the program that's coming. I will invite you to be part of it. We don't have registration open yet, but it's going to be a subscription base, so you can join us for a month. See if you like it, see if you've gained any benefit from it, and then if you don't, you're like, no, I hate this and I don't like you anymore either. Well, then you can leave, that's fine. But I am really excited to have a platform where we could have more conversations like the ones that we do at the end of our stretches. Like really get deep, really figure out our shit and figure out what life's all about, and be able to move forward towards our goal of health. Looking at why we get stuck and making sure that we're moving there. All right, well, thanks for joining this. As always, go move daily in your fitness, wellness, and nutrition. Thanks for your questions, and we'll see you in the next video.